I used to think my uncle's rules were just old superstition, until I broke two. That's when everything changed. If you read my first post and you're still worried about Uncle Rob, don't panic. He's fine. Seriously. Nothing happened to him. But you'll understand why that matters in a second. The day after the run-in with that thing everyone keeps calling Red Hiker, I did 3 things. First, I went to check the void tree. Probably not the smartest move to make right away, but that's how all this started, and I wasn't about to start ignoring the rituals now. The spile was dripping slow, but the bucket underneath it was nearly full of that thick black sap. I'd planned to take it back to the shed like Uncle usually does. But standing there, staring at the dark stuff, I froze. Was I even allowed to move it? Did it need to be jarred first? What counted as part of the rule and what didn't? That's the thing. Uncle Rob never wrote them all down. His rules always felt more like quirks. Little things he did because of how he was raised. Now I realized they were something else. I'd been guessing this whole time. So, I left the bucket. Second, I locked the front door of the cabin. Normally, we leave it unlocked before sunrise. That's what he always says, but I'd done that earlier. He never said anything about locking it afterward. And after what happened with that thing in the woods? Yeah, I was definitely locking the door. But when I came back from the void tree, the Red Hiker was gone. Delightful. 30. I checked on Uncle Rob. He was at the clinic when I left, and when I got there, Dr. McKinney was gone. That might seem odd if you're used to giant hospitals with white walls and busy nurses. Our town isn't like that. There's only one clinic, and Rob was the only patient. Doc McKinney doesn't just sit around. People here wear a dozen hats. I'll explain. See, we live way out in the deep woods. Not just a little off-grid. I'm talking no phones, no paved roads, no mailbox. The only reason we've got internet is because Rob runs the emergency network tower on weekends. And yeah, he always told me, never talk to something you can't see the face of. Now I realize. That was another rule. Town is the nearest settlement. We call it town. No, really. Just town. No other name. There's only about 80 of us, and nobody's ever left. Not that I know of. When someone needs supplies, Robert's friend Linda drives out with her 4-wheeler and brings stuff back from who knows where. Most folks here are either farmers, retired, or professional hikers. Government pays them to tag wildlife and monitor rare plants. Apparently, there's this invasive cockroach species here with 3 eyes. No joke. Silver little things that jump out at you when you least expect it. If one touches you, Uncle once said, you kill it. Right away. Don't let it escape. If it does, you tell me. We hunt it together. So yeah, weird place. But I was born here, raised here. It's my whole world. Our schoolhouse is part of the town center. Me and 3 other teens meet there for classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's it. 1 room. 1 teacher. I once asked if we could swap days with the younger kids. Mrs. Pritchett just gave me a look. The town center is in use on Monday and Wednesday, she said. But by who? I asked. Can't we just use your house and let the youngers have the room? They meet at my house already, she replied. There's no room for the 4 of you. The town center's occupied. I checked the schedule. Nobody was booked those days. So who was? Anyway, of the other 3 teens in my class, the closest to me is Theo. His mom's one of the hikers. He's kind of my best friend, I guess. We hang out after class sometimes. But that's beside the point. The day after the incident, I went straight to the clinic. Uncle Rob was asleep. I shook his arm. Hey, it's me. Milo. Are you okay? Nothing. For still in. Heart monitor beeping. But he wouldn't wake up. I tried again. Hey, Red Hiker is gone, I whispered. Milo. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. This was the moment I was supposed to hug him. Say, I'm glad you're okay, or what do you need? Instead, I stared him down. What haven't you been telling me? He reached for my hand. I pulled it back. No, you've been hiding things. Who's the Red Hiker? Why do we hang strings on the trees? Why do we bury light bulbs in the yard? What's the sap for? He blinked like something had just clicked in his brain. The cabin, last night. Did you walk 10 times around it? Yes. Sort of, I snapped. But I'm fine. I just want the truth. He squeezed my hand gently this time. I let him. You shouldn't have found out, he said. It's worse when you know. I believe you, I said. But I can't believe what you won't tell me. He nodded, slowly. His mouth opened. I could see he was ready to explain. The truth was right there. But his eyes glazed over. Wait, don't fall asleep again. Please. They snapped open, but his body was heavy, drifting. I don't feel. No, not now. I was this close. I pinched his cheek. Hard. He jerked back awake. Take a jug of sap, he said. To the old well. Near the willow. There's poppies at the base. Feed them. Tonight. Or tomorrow at the latest. Why? I asked. But he was already slipping away. Uncle Rob. Wake up. He won't, said a voice behind me. Dr. McKinney stood at the door. I need to talk to him, I said. You won't be able to. I just did. He frowned. That's not possible. Milo, your uncle has internal brain bleeding. A coma, he explained. Temporary, maybe. Could last a day. Could be weeks. But he shouldn't have been able to wake up, let alone speak. I stayed all day. Just in case. Only when the sky began dimming did I leave. I had to get back. I couldn't miss the cabin ritual again. Not after last night. The walk home is longer. Always is. You have to kneel at each of the 3 unmarked stones, kiss them, then continue. That's the rule. I did it. Running. The sun was nearly down when I reached our cabin. I didn't stop. 10 full laps around the place. 1, 3, 7, 10. Then inside. I collapsed against the door, shaking. I waited. An hour passed. Nothing came. Everything was okay. I went to sleep. Uncle Rob hasn't shared a bed with me since I was 6. It wasn't anything weird. He just couldn't sleep well. Tossed and turned like a storm at sea. When it got really bad, he'd get up and sit in the old rocking chair by the front window. I'd hear it creaking through the dark like a metronome made of wood and breath. The sound always woke me, but I liked it. Even when I was scared of the woods, of shadows, of the cold. That sound meant someone was awake. Someone was watching over me. It meant I wasn't alone. So when I woke that night, still groggy, eyes full of sleep, and heard the familiar creak of the rocking chair, I smiled. Uncle Rob couldn't sleep again. Same old thing. Only. Something felt off. My brain didn't click right away. It never does in the middle of the night. It was a slow unraveling, like a zipper caught on a thread. He was still in a coma. At the clinic. So who was sitting in the rocking chair? Moonlight trickled through the window. Just enough to cast pale gray lines across the cabin floor. And that's when I saw it. Legs. Longer than Uncle Rob's. Thinner. Wrong. They rocked slowly back and forth, arms settled on the old wooden armrests. And higher up, 2 glowing yellow eyes stared into the dark. Not at me. Not yet. Just watching. I held my breath. The blanket was still bunched around my face. Maybe it hadn't noticed me. Maybe it thought I wasn't here. So I didn't move. Not even a twitch. I stared at it. It stared at nothing. We sat like that for what felt like forever. Time didn't move. Just the rocking. Just the silence. And then, I whimpered. It wasn't on purpose. I didn't even know I'd made the sound until it was too late. The eyes turned. Snapped toward me. Locked on. The figure stood. I couldn't see much, just its silhouette against the window light. But it moved with confidence. Like it belonged here. Like it wasn't afraid of me at all. It walked toward the bed. I kept my eyes half-lidded, pretending to sleep, praying it wouldn't know. It did. A hand, ice-cold, bony, and impossibly light, rested gently on the blanket over my shoulder. It leaned in, inches from my face. Those yellow eyes burned through the dark, and something, wet, stringy, slick, dripped down and brushed against my cheek. Like what hair after a shower, or seaweed clinging to your neck after a swim. It wasn't breathing. Not like a human. There was no breath. No smell. Just silence. Then, it pulled back, walked to the door, and waited. It stared at me. Not threatening. Just waiting. That's when I understood. I had locked it in. All day. It had been trapped here. The rule was unlock the front door before sunrise. But no one said what happened if you didn't unlock it again after. Slowly, I slid out from under the covers. I crept toward the door. Past the thing. Never looking straight at it. Just feeling it there. Watching. My fingers fumbled at the deadbolt. I turned it. The latch clicked. The figure reached out, twisted the doorknob, and stepped into the woods without a single word. It didn't look back. The next morning, I followed Rob's last instructions. I went to the cellar, picked out one of the old jugs of void sap we keep in the back. Thick, black, syrupy. It always smells faintly sweet, like molasses and copper. I took it to the well. The old one. The forgotten one. The one near the willow tree with the twisted branches and roots like fingers. Nothing happened, I tried to tell myself. You dreamed it. But I hadn't. That thing was real. And it had been in Rob's chair. So what else was real? The poppies were exactly where he said they'd be, nestled at the base of the well, bright orange, like they were lit from within. A perfect circle. I nearly poured the sap into the well itself. Caught myself at the last second. No. He said pour it into the flowers. The poppies. I aimed for the center and let it flow. For a second, nothing happened. The black liquid soaked into the soil. The petals drooped from the weight. I started to think maybe it really was just superstition. Then the dirt shifted. It gurgled. It opened. A mouth round, wet, full of teeth, yawned up from the earth. Inside, a black tongue slid upward, lapping at the sap. It slurped, drank. Then when the jug was empty, it gently patted the soil. The tongue retreated. The jaw closed. The poppies reformed like nothing had ever happened. I stood there, mouth open, eyes wide, for maybe a full minute. Then I screwed the lid back onto the empty jug and turned around. I was shaking again. I practiced what I'd say the whole walk back to town. What are the mouths? What are they for? Why do we feed them? I won't leave until you tell me, Uncle Rob. But I knew I wasn't mad. Not really. I didn't want to threaten him. I needed answers. He'd been everything to me. He'd raised me. He was my family. I reached the clinic, pushed through the door, opened his room and said, Uncle Robbie. Dr. McKinney looked up from beside the bed. His hand was still on the white sheet he'd just pulled over Rob's face. I'm sorry, Milo, he said quietly. He's gone. I broke down. No point pretending otherwise. I screamed. I sobbed. I couldn't breathe. Rob was the only family I had. The only real person in this town who ever made me feel like I belonged. He taught me how to fish, how to hike, how to survive. He built the damn cabin with his own 2 hands. Now he was gone. Dr. McKinney brought me back to his place, made me eat. His wife sat with me for hours, just holding my hand as I cried myself into a hollow shell. Finally, she led me to the spare bed, pulled back the blanket, gave me a weak smile. You can stay here tonight, she said softly. I looked outside. It was almost dark. I can't. What? I can't stay, I said again. That's nonsense. You're grieving. You shouldn't be alone. I can't. I didn't wait for her to argue. I bolted out the door. I had to get back. Had to walk the 10 laps around the cabin before nightfall. I didn't stop for the gravestones this time. No time. Better to risk offending a ghost than missing the ritual that kept me alive. The sun was kissing the edge of the trees when I reached home. I sprinted into the clearing, but I never got the chance to start lap 1, because the front door opened. And there he was. Uncle Rob. Milo, he said, smiling wide. You scared the hell out of me. Took you long enough. Come inside, dinner's ready. I froze. He looked exactly the same. Voice, smile, eyes. The man who raised me. Standing right there. Milo, he asked again. Everything okay? You look pale. We haven't walked around the cabin, I whispered. He blinked. Oh, right. Of course. Silly me. Must be slipping. He held out his hand. We began the first circle. I live with my uncle in a small cabin tucked deep inside the deepwood forest. Always have. Always will. That's just how it is. At least, that's what I tell myself now. Because if I admit something's wrong, if I let myself believe the impossible, then I have to ask the question that keeps rattling inside my skull like a loose screw. Who is the man I walked around the cabin with last night? Because Uncle Rob is dead. I saw the doctor cover his body. I saw his hand fall still, forever still, beneath the white sheet. But last night, he was here, smiling, laughing, cooking dinner. And when I finally stepped through the door after we did the full 10 laps around the house, he was already plating stew like nothing had happened. I used the last of the root cellar carrots, he said cheerfully. We'll have to get more from Linda next week. I sat down at the table without speaking. He slid a steaming bowl toward me, then sat across from me and started to eat. And I just stared, not at the food, at him, his face, his hands, the little scar on the side of his nose, same place as always. He looked exactly like Rob. He sounded exactly like Rob. But something in my gut wouldn't stop squirming. Maybe it was the way his spoon never quite touched the stew, just hovered. Maybe it was how he chewed without ever swallowing. Or maybe it was the part where I knew, with a kind of grief-soaked certainty, that Rob was gone. So who was this? I didn't eat. He didn't seem to notice. After dinner, he went to the chair. The rocking chair. The same one that creaked last night. And as he sat and swayed in rhythm, back and forth, back and forth. The yellow of his eyes, just for a second, glimmered too bright in the moonlight, like a reflection from something hollow. I pretended to fall asleep, and when I opened my eyes the next morning, the chair was empty. I didn't go back into town that day, not even close. I had too much to do, too many rituals to double-check, too many rules to reread. I spent the morning cleaning the front steps with salt water like Uncle Rob used to. Then I strung the perimeter again, red twine in a perfect circle around the cabin, just like he taught me. Every corner, every nail, every knot double-checked. And still, I didn't feel safe. When I stood in the woods behind the cabin and stared at the trees, they stared back. Not literally, but I felt it. That prickle under your skin. That tickle at the base of your neck like something is just behind you. If you turned too fast, you'd see it. The deep woods used to feel like home. Now, it feels like it's breathing. That night, I walked the 10 laps again. Didn't wait for the sun to drop completely. I started as soon as the sky turned orange. And when I came back inside, dinner was on the table. Rob was sitting, smiling, holding 2 spoons. "Hope you're hungry," he said. "I made your favorite. Mushroom dumplings." I sat again. Didn't eat. Just stared. He didn't seem to care. This continued for the next 2 days. Walk the house. Come inside. Rob would be waiting. Same meals. Same mannerisms. Same smile. But never quite right. One night, I tested it. I asked him something only the real Rob would know. "Do you remember the poem you taught me when I broke my leg? The one about the bird?" He smiled wide. But then, he just blinked. "Of course, Milo. I remember everything." "What's the first line then?" A pause. Too long. Finally, he said, "The bird flies highest on the wind of truth." That wasn't it. That wasn't even close. The real line was, "Even the smallest sparrow sings when it knows it's loved." I nodded, pretending not to notice. He smiled again and said, exactly what I was going to say. That night, I didn't sleep in the bed. I stayed by the front door, holding the broomstick across my lap like a weapon, eyes fixed on the rocking chair. It stayed empty until 3:12 a.m. That's when the figure appeared again. Not from the bedroom, not from the hallway, from the chair, like it had always been there. One moment, the chair was empty. The next, something was sitting in it, rocking, eyes glowing faint yellow. And this time, I did see it clearly. It wasn't Rob. Its face shimmered, like heat waves on asphalt. Sometimes it was his face, sometimes someone else, sometimes nothing at all, just smooth skin stretched tight over a skull-shaped mass. It rocked and watched me, didn't speak, didn't move, and I didn't dare blink. Because when I did, just once, it was gone again. The next morning, I walked to the well again, not with sap, just to see if the poppies were still there. They were, but now they were wilted, dry, and in the middle of the circle, where the soil had shifted before, a small stone had been placed. Smooth, carved, with a name, Robert. No dates, no message, just the name. My hands went cold. No one had seen me pour the sap. No one had followed me here. But someone, or something, knew what I'd done. I backed away slowly. Didn't run, didn't speak, didn't look up. Just walked backward until the well was out of sight. When I got back to the cabin, the door was open. Dinner was set. And Rob was humming. It wasn't a tune I recognized. Just a low, droning hum that felt like it came from deep underground. "You look pale," he said. "Bad dreams." I said nothing. He pushed a bowl toward me. Steam rose from it. Mushroom stew. Again. 3 days in a row. I finally asked, "Where are the mushrooms from?" He looked up, paused. "From the garden. We don't have mushrooms in the garden." "You're right," he said smoothly. "I meant the woods. You told me never to eat mushrooms from the woods." He smiled again. I guess I changed my mind. I didn't eat the stew. I didn't touch it. Not because it smelled weird. It didn't. Not because I was full of. I wasn't. I didn't eat it because I didn't know what was in it. I didn't know what he was. The thing sitting across from me, stirring his bowl with too much rhythm, too much precision. Not like a person. Like an imitation of one. A copy. A thing that had learned how to be Rob, just not all the way. And tonight, he was wearing his old hiking vest. The one we buried with him when he passed. Or at least, the one I thought we buried. He kept humming that same droning tune. Low. Slow. Off-key. Like wind through a bone flute. I stood up. "Not hungry?" he asked. I didn't answer. I backed toward the door. He didn't stop me. Didn't move. Just smiled. That same too perfect smile. like a taxidermy mask of Uncle Rob's face stretched over something else. Outside, I sat on the porch and stared at the trees. I wanted to scream, to run, to go into town, tell McKinney everything, demand help. But what would I say? My dead uncle came back and makes mushroom stew now? No one would believe me. Even if they did, they'd ask the same question I was already asking myself. Why didn't I leave? Why did I keep coming back to this cabin night after night? And the answer was simple. Because I didn't dare skip the ritual. If I didn't circle the cabin 10 times, something worse would happen. I knew it in my bones. Rob, or the thing pretending to be Rob, was terrifying. But the thing that came if you broke the rules? That was worse. So I stayed. Every evening, I walked the 10 laps. Every morning, I woke up to the stew. And every night, I waited to see what would change next. The next change came on the 5th night. I just finished circling the cabin. I opened the door. No stew. No humming. No fire in the hearth. Just silence. The lights were off. And someone was already sitting in the rocking chair. Not moving. Not creaking. Just there. In the dark. A glint of yellow eyes. A hint of wet, seaweed-like hair dangling over its face. Then a voice. Low. Scratchy. Milo. It said my name like it remembered me. Like it had known me a long time. I watched you grow, it whispered. I watched you hide. I watched you obey. My breath caught in my throat. The air in the room turned heavy. Like breathing through water. You've done well, it continued. Until now. What? What do you want from me? I managed to whisper. It didn't answer. It just stood. This time, I didn't flinch. I looked straight at it. And that's when I saw it. It wasn't wearing Rob's skin anymore. It wasn't even trying. Its body shimmered like oil in water. Limbs slightly too long. Mouth split wide, revealing too many teeth, thin, needly things like a sea lamprey. Its voice echoed without moving its lips. We remember your promise. I never promised anything, I said. You inherited the promise, it replied. With the house. With the blood. I took a step back. It took a step forward. Then another. It didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Only stared. Unlock the door, it said. I shook my head. You're already inside. Its voice darkened. Then unlock me. And I understood. It wasn't talking about the door. It meant something else. Something deeper. Something inside me. I bolted out of the cabin and didn't stop running. I spent that night in the clearing. No walls. No roof. No fake Rob. Just sky. Cold, bright stars staring down like judgmental eyes. I kept the cabin in sight. Didn't dare turn my back on it. And as dawn finally broke, pale and shivering, I returned. The cabin was quiet again. The rocking chair empty. Inside, everything looked normal. Too normal. Like someone had cleaned. Erased every trace of last night. Except one. On the kitchen table, carved neatly into the wood, was a message. For words. You forgot the sap. My stomach dropped. The mouth at the well. I hadn't fed it. I missed the offering. And now it knew. I ran. Jug in hand. Didn't bother changing. Didn't brush my teeth. Just sprinted through the woods like a madman, nearly tripping over roots and rocks toward the willow tree. When I got there, the poppies were gone. All of them. Burned. Blackened. Charred to ash. And where the mouth had once been a hole. A gaping, pulsing void in the earth, wide enough to swallow a grown man. Voices whispered from inside. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. All whispering my name. Milo. 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 I backed away. And that's when I felt the buzzing. Like something crawling under my skin. I looked down. 3 silver cockroaches, each with 3 tiny black eyes, were perched on my arm. Watching me. Waiting. I froze. Gran. Uncle Rob used to say, never let one touch you. If they do, kill it fast. Never let it escape. I reached for a rock. Smashed the first one. The other 2 leapt. One vanished into the leaves. The last one? It crawled up my neck and disappeared into my shirt collar. I screamed. Tore off my hoodie. Swatted, scratched, clawed. Nothing. It was gone. I stood in the clearing, heart hammering. Shirt soaked in sweat. Skin crawling. And I realized something. I hadn't broken 2 rules. I'd broken 4. I didn't unlock the door at sunrise. I locked it before sunset. I forgot to feed the mouth. I let one of the silver roaches escape. Something was coming. Not the fake Rob. Not the thing in the chair. Something worse. And I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor with the mirror covered in a wool blanket. The air buzzed like static. The lights flickered, not randomly, but in a rhythm. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. Morse code. SS. But it wasn't me sending it. It was the lights. The house. Or maybe her. At 2:59 a.m., the blanket slipped off the mirror. I didn't touch it. I swear I didn't. But the moment it fell, the reflection moved. Not mirrored. Not synced. Independent. The me inside the mirror turned. Looked directly into my eyes. And mouthed, "Come home." I felt something shift in the room. A pressure. Like something breathing right behind my neck. And then, I wasn't in the cabin anymore. No flash. No tunnel. Just one blink. And I was somewhere else. It looked like the woods. But the trees were taller. Wrong. Bending in slow, painful arcs toward the ground, as if bowing to something that hadn't arrived yet. There was no sky. Just reflections above me. A surface. Like I was trapped under glass, looking up at the real world. And there, in the distance, a figure in white. She wore a veil. It trailed behind her, dragging across leaves that didn't rustle. Her head tilted like it had been sewn on crooked. And as she got closer, I realized it. She was wearing my face. But not well. It was stretched. Tight. As if she didn't quite know how expressions worked. The smile twitched. The eyes blinked out of order. She stopped 3 feet in front of me. And whispered, "I chose you." I looked at her hands. They were dripping. Not with blood. With sap. Void sap. The same dark, ancient stuff I had poured into the poppies. And from her mouth, I saw the threads. Red string, tangled on her tongue, pulling with every word. She offered me a ring. Carved from bone. Carved from me. "Say yes," she said. And I almost did. Because in that moment, everything felt calm. The pressure stopped. The silence was peaceful. My chest didn't ache anymore. No more fear. Just stillness. But something inside me. Something buried. Remembered Gran's voice. She never stops watching. Not unless you make her see herself. So I reached into my pocket. Gran's compact mirror. Cracked from the fall. I held it up. The woman froze. Her face, the one she wore, began to melt. Not physically. Conceptually. The idea of me peeled away from her skin like film. Her smile collapsed. Her body flickered. And behind it, not a person. Not even a shape. Just a memory of wanting. Of hunger. A need to be someone. And the only word she could say, over and over and over, was, yes. I dropped the mirror. And ran. The woods twisted. Spun. Reflections shattered above me, like a ceiling breaking open. And then, I was back. In the cabin. On the floor. Breathing hard. The sun bleeding through the windows. The mirror was gone. So was the string. No more knocks. No more calls. Just silence. Gran passed a few days later. Peacefully. They buried her beside the willow tree. I almost didn't go. But I did. And when I placed a single poppy on the soil, I swear I felt her hand on my shoulder. Warm. Familiar. Gone. I moved out of the cabin soon after. But every now and then, when I catch my reflection in a store window or a black TV screen, I pause. Because sometimes, the me on the other side smiles just a little too early and mouths something I can't hear. But I know the word. It's always the same. Yes.